In the quiet village of Elmridge, where cobblestone streets whispered of forgotten times and the fog clung to the trees like ghosts of the past, an old folktale passed from parent to child, warned of a spirit known only as the Stitch Maiden. They said she came in the night, wearing a veil of tattered lace and a dress made from the funeral garments of the forgotten dead. She was once a seamstress, long ago, who stitched fine gowns for noble women until madness took her. Now, her ghost wandered into bedrooms, while her victims slept and sewed their mouths shut, thread by cursed thread. It began with a whisper. 13-year-old Elsie Whitmore first heard it on a rainy Thursday night, a thin, silken voice curling into her dreams. "Hush now. Let me stitch the silence." Elsie sat up in bed, heart pounding. Her bedroom was empty, lit only by the flickering glow of her nightlight, shaped like a cat. Rain tapped at her window. Nothing seemed out of place. The next morning, her mother noticed something strange. "Why do you have thread marks at the corner of your lips, Elsie?" Elsie blinked at her reflection. There were 2 faint red lines, one on either side of her mouth, as if pricked by a needle. She shrugged. "I must have scratched myself." But that night, the voice returned closer, clearer. "You talk too much, child. Let me hush you properly." At school, Elsie told her friend Noah, a quiet, bookish boy who loved reading village legends. "That sounds like the Stitch Maiden," he said with a gulp. "She's real, Elsie. My gran told me about her." He opened an old leather book from the school archives. Inside was a faded drawing. A faceless woman in a veil, holding a silver needle. They say she was betrayed by her lover. He cut out her tongue to silence her screams and stitched her mouth shut so no one would ever hear her pain. Now, she does the same to others, mostly children who lie, gossip, or talk too much. Elsie's stomach turned cold. "I don't lie," she whispered. Noah hesitated. "It's not always about lying. Sometimes it's just being heard too much." That night, Elsie locked her bedroom door, hid under the covers, and kept a flashlight gripped in her hand. Her parents were asleep. The wind moaned outside. At 2:13 a.m., the flashlight died, and in the pitch-black silence, she heard it again. Click, click, needle and thread, silver and dread. "You breathe too loud, little girl." Elsie froze. Her body wouldn't move. It was as if something heavy pinned her down, something cold and invisible. The Stitch Maiden appeared at the foot of the bed. She didn't walk. She floated. Her face was hidden behind black lace. Her bony hands clutched a silver needle, trailing a long strand of black thread, glistening like spider silk. Elsie tried to scream, but the maiden's hand was already on her cheek. Suddenly, a knock at the window. Noah stood outside, pale and breathless, waving a flashlight carved with strange runes. Elsie had told him everything. The Stitch Maiden Heseda, sound like a needle scratching meadowland, vanished into a swirl of black lace. Elsie sat up, choking, gasping for air. Blood trickled from one side of her mouth. There had been a stitch there, half done. Noah climbed in through the window. "Are you okay?" Elsie nodded, trembling. She was real. He handed her the flashlight. "My gran said the maiden fears light infused with truth. This one's blessed, with words carved from the old tongue: honesty, silence, protection." Elsie hooked him, but deep down, she knew this wasn't over. Noah and Elsie followed the legend to the old tailor's cottage on the edge of town, the place where the Stitch Maiden once lived and died. Inside, dust-covered sewing machines and spools of rotten thread. In the attic, they found her diary pages soaked in grief and rage. He silenced me, so I could not tell the truth. Now I silence others, so they may never speak lies or pain again. Elsie whispered. She wasn't just a monster. She was a warning. Noah nodded. But she lost her way. They left a candle burning in the attic, beside a spool of silver thread, and recited a truth each of them had hidden honest, pure, and painful. The candle flared once, then extinguished. Outside, the sky was clear for the first time in days. Elsie never saw the Stitch Maiden again. But sometimes, when she lies awake, she still hears faint clicking sounds from her closet, like a needle dancing across fabric. And in the village of Elmridge, every child now knows, if you lie too often, gossip too much, or speak just to be heard, the Stitch Maiden might visit you. And her silence is forever. Don't forget to check your lips before bed tonight, just in case.